Happy birthday, Noah.
Yes, of course. All right. So when last we left, we were talking about positive degree adverbs. So here's our daily analogy. If adverbs are formed from adjectives, and adverbs have a positive degree, then what else is coming to us? Comparative and, what's that, Patrick? Superlative. Very good. So we'll talk about the comparative degree adverb first. The good news for all of you with respect to adverbs is that adverbs describe an action. They don't describe the person doing the action. This is helpful to you because then they don't have a variety of different endings based on who is doing the action. So with a comparative degree adverb, there is one form for everything. That's why you see my Lord of the Rings pun, one form to rule them all. Thank you. So with a comparative degree adverb, we have more blankly, or we could do rather blankly. With our paradigms that we talked about the other day, we said slowly or quickly. So more quickly or rather quickly. There's going to be one form that is more quickly. Because, Sarah runs more quickly. But you could also say, those boys are running more quickly, and it doesn't matter because you're describing how they're running, you're not describing the person who's doing it. Make sense? All right. So let's see what the comparative degree adverb looks like in Latin. Oh, wait, sorry. First, which English sentence contains its comparative degree adverb? Okay, the correct answer for us today is the middle one, rather slowly. This is a good exercise for you all in English grammar. In letters A and C, slow is an adjective for the turtle, not referring to what he is doing. Whereas in B, the turtle moved rather slowly. In C, the turtle is a rather slow animal. That's describing the type of animal that he is versus what he does. Does that make sense? All right, and then the turtle is slower than the camel. You guys managed to figure that one out. But you also should know from our adjective unit that rather slow and slower actually mean the same thing. So if you're going to discount that one, you can also discount that one. Does that make sense? They're sort of mutually exclusive? Okay. So with a comparative degree adverb, let me unlock your screens real fast. You're going to see that we are again starting with the stem of the word. Now the stem here is formed the same way that the stem of the adjective itself was. So lent becomes lentius, brevis becomes brev for the stem, brevius. Clarus, or clare becomes clarius. And then we do have some weird stems, right, that like drop out their E, like the E from acer, that becomes acra. So then it becomes acrius in the comparative degree. And I've given you a couple of translations to play with. More slowly. You could also say rather slowly, rather briefly. I translated it here as briefly. I know in your Quizlet list it's defined as short, but you should know that it's short with respect to time, not short with respect to stature. So Magistra at 5'2" is rather short, but I don't speak rather briefly, as you know well by now, right? So that's two different ways of describing me. All right. Any questions about comparative degree adverbs then? All right. So now it's your turn to try. You're going to take irate, which is a positive degree adverb, and you're going to make it comparative in Latin and in English. Okay, iratius is correct. We do want a translation of more angrily, though, because we're referring to how someone does something, and you would do something angrily versus angry, which is describing the person who's doing it. All right. I prefer if you can delete that. I have to take screenshots for the Swivl, so I kind of need more focused stuff. Let's see. Eratius. Yes, happy birthday. All right. Eratius rather angrily.
Angrily?
Okay. All right. Good deal. Take this one, diligenter. Make that one a comparative degree adverb as well. Diligentius, rather carefully. Diligentius, more carefully. Either one would be just fine. Rather carefully, or you could say, no, that's correct. It's care and then fully at the end. Good job getting the stem of diligent and then adding IUS to it to make it comparative. So we talked yesterday, or not yesterday, obviously, Friday, about the occasional irregular adverb, ones that don't follow that ly pattern, or in Latin, ones that don't follow that straightforward e or iter pattern. And in that case, most of those irregulars can't be made into Gesundheit comparative degrees from the sheer standpoint that, from a logic standpoint, you can't have something that's more tomorrow. Yeah? So we talk about cross means tomorrow, ergo means therefore, hic means here, hinc means from here, diende means then. You can't describe an action as being more than something else, right? Nothing is going to be more tomorrow, more today, more here. So if, from a logic standpoint, if it can't be made into an irregular, then it can't be made into an irregular comparative in Latin either. There are a handful of irregular adverbs that can be compared, and then they actually get treated regularly. In other words, they have a stem plus IUS. One of those is the word often. You can have something happen more often. That makes sense. And if it's a comparable adverb, then it compares the same way that you expect it to because it's got that regular IUS thing going for it. Any questions? Great. So answer for me. Can the Latin adverb semper be made into a comparative degree adverb? You can drag your dot to either agree or disagree. If you agree that it could be made into a comparative degree adverb or disagree that it can't be comparative. Let's see where your dots have ended up. It's okay. Correct. You can't have rather always. You can't have more always. So semper is not one of the ones that can be comparative. Those far outnumber the ones that can be compared, for better or for worse. All right, let's unlock you. And finally, we get to the superlative degree adverb. The superlative degree in English is most blankly or very blankly. And then the superlative degree adverb is formed very similar to what you know about the comparative degree adjective, or very similarly. You're starting with the stem, and then you're going to attach a lot of letters, the most letters, you might say, for the superlative. Now, in the superlative degree adjective, you added isimus a We started with our adjectives to adverbs on Friday that you take an us a adjective and add e to it to make it an adverb. So we're putting those things together to make a superlative degree adverb. Because where you would have seen hicimos, you're going to take off the US and make an E with the macron. So you have lent becoming lentissime, most slowly, brevissime, most briefly, very clearly. And then I also added in one of the few irregulars that can have the various modes of comparison. Saipe becomes saipissime, to say most often. Right? Most often I enjoy frozen yogurt, but occasionally I'll go for ice cream. All right? So, out of the choices on your screen, which English sentence correctly features a superlative degree adverb? Yeah. No. All right. The correct answer to this is the middle one, for very quickly. But I'm glad we're having this conversation because a lot of people in their English confuse the adjective fast with the adverb quickly. So in this one, our Latin class period passed by the fastest. Fastest is a superlative degree adjective that would describe a noun, right? Joe is the fastest runner. That would be an example of using a superlative degree adjective. But if you're talking about the action that something is doing, whether it's passing by or running, then you have to use quickly to describe that action. So this sentence would best be, our Latin class period passed by very quickly. Okay? All right. Let's unlock you. All right, so take irate, which is positive degree, and create the superlative degree adverb in Latin and in English. Iratissime, very angrily. Very good. The third one suffers from some typographical errors, but that's okay. Iratissime, very angrily. Most angrily. Good job with the capital E, signifying the E with the macron. All right. Try this one. Diligenter. Make that superlative a superlative adverb. Oops. Sorry. Huh, I did not know I could do that. This is very interesting. Diligentissime, most or very carefully. Excellent job. Yes, most or very carefully, diligentissime. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right.
What do you have?
Okay. Okay. All right, and then finally, we have the general category of adjectives or adverbs that come from adjectives that end with ER. You saw that when we made superlative adjectives from these ER adjectives, they become eremos. The same thing happens when they're adverbs. The R does not go away. The R is very strong with these adjectives. So the stem does not change. It goes back to its original form. And we have pulcherrime, for very beautifully, and miserrime, for most sadly. Those are two examples, but any adjective that became an adverb that originally had an ER ending keeps its ER in the superlative. It doesn't become miserissime, it's just miserrime. It still has the most amount of letters, so it is still, presented most impressively. with regard to its length. Any questions about this? Does it make sense? Yes? Say it again?
How many regulars are there?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't counted.
The most fabulous.
All right. Just to give you some forewarning, or as much forewarning as possible, you're going to have a quiz on these adverbs, and it's going to be exactly the same format as your adjective quiz.